Welcome back to the Just Because podcast, a podcast about all things life and cosplay. Welcome back. It's a wonderful Monday. It's your boy, it's Jeremy. I'm back again. And this time, would you believe it or not, I've brought another guest. It's another wonderful friend of mine who's I'm very grateful to have on the show today. You might have seen them around Melbourne. That's right, Melburnians, we're coming for you. They're really chirpy to talk to. They're a famous cosplayer. They've been on D&D episodes all over the place. Her face is going to be plastered all over the Rod Laver Arena very soon at Dreamhack. Everybody, please give it up for Dragonash cosplay. Hello, Ash. How are you?
Hello. I'm good.
Excellent. How'd you like that intro?
I feel like you've set very high bars for me.
You know what? You're going to jump right over them too. It's fine.
Okay, hopefully. In essence, I'm a silly little guy. No. I do silly little guy things.
You do wonderful silly things. And
thank you. I appreciate that.
That's okay. Look, welcome to the show. For anyone who doesn't know you, Ash, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I've been cosplaying for a while. I started cosplaying like 5 and a bit-ish years ago. My first con was Mad Man Anime Fest, for those who remember. Well, in cosplay. I went to like cons with my family and stuff before that, but like Mad Man Anime Fest was like where I was like, yeah, I got a cheapy secondhand Attack on Titan jacket, and the rest is history.
Look, if you didn't start your career that way, you're doing it wrong, okay? That's where we all start.
Exactly. No, so yeah, I really love building things. I kind of from the beginning started like patching together cosplays and that kind of thing. And like in recent years, I've done some competitions and that kind of thing. What I'm proudest of is last year's Endgame Dreamhack competition that I was in. That was really, really fun. And yeah, but because I also I do engineering and that kind of thing, so I like bringing things to life. My goal for cosplaying and for characters is always to go, look at this silly, fantastical thing. How can I make this real?
That's cool. No, I love it because it's just like, oh yeah, you know, I do cosplay, so I just enter competitions. You know, I do engineering. It's not a big deal. Just you know.
No, there are only so many hours in a day though. I'm just like, how can I intertwine these things enough that I don't need like 32 hours in a day? That's my life at the minute.
Look, you're making 32 into 20 at the moment. That's how good you're going. Now, Ash, we actually met about this time last year at Dreamhack.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like our 1 year friendversary, and Dreamhack, by the time this airs, it's going to be next weekend. So we're getting pretty close.
Why would you say that?
Well, you're ready because you've actually been featured as a creator this year. So
yeah.
In between, let's say last year when we met and kind of this year, how many kind of new things have you been involved with? What kind of doors have opened up for you in cosplay in like just a year?
I think that like the last year has probably been like my most rapid growth as a cosplayer, and especially like presence in the community and opportunities and that kind of thing. Because yeah, Dreamhack was like my first like kind of Masters E level comp. So that meant a lot for me with my cosplay and that kind of thing. And I was like, I can do this, you know? Like because it was really surreal because some of the people on that stage that I was competing against are people who were like my idols when I first started cosplaying. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm next to them. Like I see myself on like these like Dreamhack cosplay ads, like standing next to these people.
You're someone that people look up to now.
No, that's
what it is.
That's too weird. That's too weird for my brain. But yeah, no, because I was very lucky that I got some opportunities to work with Riot Games last year for their Soul Fighter event and that kind of thing. And that was fantastic. Like, League, I think the most of my cosplay builds that I have built that I've made from scratch are League cosplays, and they're very, very close to my heart. And it was so cool because Riot hasn't had a huge presence in Australia in recent years because of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool that they were making an effort to actually come back, and that they were like, yeah, your cosplays are cool. Do you want to promote us? And that's amazing.
If you don't mind me asking, just for the Riot Games ones in particular, what kind of things did they ask of you, and how did they kind of, in this case, how did they kind of pay you or reimburse you for your work? Because I did stuff for Riot way back like 2015, 2016 or something, and they were very generous with the way that they kind of treated cosplays and stuff. Were they the same this time as well, or?
I mean, it wasn't as like, because it was through agencies and that kind of thing. It was more specific. I like there were some negotiations and that kind of thing. I mean, I was personally very happy with how I was reimbursed for it, especially since like I spent so much of my free time spending all of my money to prance around as silly characters, and all of a sudden someone's gonna pay me for it. Like, what? So yeah, and it was just amazing because like basically got in contact with who was working with the hiring. I was like, here are my league cosplays, and then the one that they initially wanted was Blood Moon Elise. They were like, for the big one, we want Blood Moon Elise, and I'm like,
okay,
oh, yay,
yeah.
Because for those who don't know, Elise is like a spider lady, and she has these like 4 giant spider legs on her back, and I do in fact have the 4 giant spider legs. And I was a hazard, but it was their fault. So I'm like, I'll do it, but this is on you. But it was so fun. It was really amazing. And like, there were so many other really, really wonderful people in the Melbourne cosplay community and Sydney cosplay community as well. They did an event in Sydney as well.
Yeah, wow.
And yeah, it was really fantastic. And it kind of meant a lot for me to see that there were like some opportunities for this kind of thing, that I can push it further.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now, is cosplay something that you feel like, and we just have to ask the question, is that something that you feel like you've always seen, yeah, this is the thing I want to do, or yeah, there's opportunities for me to grow in this kind of sector, or yeah, there's place for me to be on stage and kind of develop my brand or my career? Is it something that you've always seen from day one? Or it's been something that you only kind of have started to come to notice in the last couple of years?
I wouldn't say since day one. I mean, I've always loved it since day one. But I think that's just because, I don't know, it fits in really, really well with so many other things that like are so important to me and my life. Like, it's because it was like, okay, so here's a bunch of other nerdy people that you can talk about things that you're passionate with. Like, there's all of this cool art and that kind of thing, performance and that kind of, like, all of that. And then I've met, like, some of my closest friends through it. And it's just, yeah. And also just, like, self-image and that, and mental health and that kind of thing is a really, really big thing that, it helps me with personally, because I used to be like a ball of anxiety, like not necessarily social anxiety, but like my brain was a little wink wonk. Like there were other things that I did to help that, but cosplay did help a lot, and just having people that looked at the silly things that I did and like, that's cool. Like I'm like, whoa. Like, there are people out there who also think this is cool. Like, it was really, really amazing.
That's really nice to hear, because if you don't mind me just kind of going into that topic just a little bit, because I think everybody in the, let's say, cosplay or the convention sphere to some way, shape, or form, no one can deny it, you're a bit of a geek like us, all right? You just like the cool, adventure-y, nerdy things, but it's always kind of attracted the kind of people who weren't exactly... the cool kid growing up. Yeah. And if you were the cool kid growing up as a cosplay, well, look, good on you. But for the rest of us, it's kind of been a place in which we found comfort, or like a safe haven for watching anime or just watching comfort shows and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, we're thrust into this environment where it's like, oh, wow, this is cool, the convention. Maybe I can go shopping. And all of a sudden, we're running into people who have the same interests as us. In that way... How do you feel like it has really helped you develop as a person, just doing cosplay? You've been meeting people, you've been obviously pushing your own boundaries a little bit. But, you know, if you say, and I almost don't believe it, we say, wow, I used to be a big ball of anxiety, but, you know, obviously when I met you, you didn't give off the impression that, you know, you were someone who had that kind of history. But how do you feel it has helped you in that way?
Well, because, like, when I was younger, I went to it was specifically my primary school. I have another cosplay friend that went to the same primary school as me, and God, we talk shit about it all the time. It's great. Because it was very upper middle class white kind of vibes.
Yep. Okay.
There was not much diversity in anything, and a lot of the teachers did not encourage diversity in anything. For context, I got bullied by people at my primary school for reading books.
What?
That is,
what? It's like, oh my god, you're not reading Dolly magazine, you're reading books?
No, it was just like, instead of running around and playing tag and stuff, I was just like, because I was a very avid reader. There's a funny story about that actually as well, which
we can go into.
Yeah, okay. So like, I learned to read. The long and short of it is, I learned to read at a much higher level than I was meant to entering primary school because of Pokemon.
Bless Pokemon. Which version? Please tell me it's a good one.
It was Diamond and Pearl.
Okay. Okay,
it was Diamond and Pearl, and like my mom, because I couldn't read because I was 5 years old. So my mom sat down and she read through it with me.
That's so like fucking adorable.
It's a very fun memory that I have. And another fun thing is like, when, because I can't remember, I spoke about it at some point, and I remembered, because, like, everyone knows that Cynthia is, like, that game is mostly easy, and then you get to Cynthia, and you're like, oh.
Ready to be pounded into the ground?
Yeah. I was like, Mom, do you remember Cynthia in Pokemon Diamond? And she was like, the look on her face has changed. It's like, yes.
Even she gets PTSD.
so long trying to help little me strategize. to actually do that.
That is honestly one of the most wholesome Pokemon stories I've ever heard, though. It's like, my mum sat with me the entire game just to read through so I could understand what was going on. That is so cool. What was your, did you have a favourite Pokemon that you guys shared that you really liked?
Oh, okay, so Luxray. Luxray is the one that comes to mind. Yeah. I vividly remember, going to my mom at her computer and Googling how to evolve, Luxio and that kind of thing into Luxray. Yeah. Like a Celebinet. Oh, man.
I think it's nice that your mom was, actively encouraging. It's like, hey, this is a fun thing to do, because I don't think many of us had the same experience from our parents when it came to Pokemon, so bless your wholesome mother, honestly.
My family is wonderful. Still, because I still live with my parents. I haven't moved out yet, but I did an Astarion shoot, and the photographer gave me a print of one of the photos, and I kind of jokingly gave it to my mom, and I was like, oh yeah, you can put it up somewhere. It's at the head of our dining room table.
She didn't put it on the fridge. She framed it and put it on the dining table.
It is framed at the head of the dining table. And I'm like, this is wonderful. It's very good. I'm very, very lucky.
Cosplay Parents of the Year, everybody. Oh my god, that's
they put up with a lot of my shenanigans, and it's really
they
wonderful.
Actively encourage your shenanigans. Oh wow. So are they also are they people who also like going to conventions, and do they grow up with Lord of the Rings and stuff? What's their background?
So my dad is really into all that kind of nerdy stuff, and he comes to conventions now and again.
That's cool.
But he is very good at Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, wow.
He used to play it when he was a kid, and then I started playing it when I was in high school, and he got back into it. And then I kind of moved. That's kind of what I did before cosplay. I started playing Magic, and then I kind of was like, oh, convention scene kind of stuff. And then I was like, oh, maybe I can dress up as silly characters. But he continued playing kind of after I stopped.
Yeah.
And I reckon I can't remember what the rank is called, but he's managed to he's
up there. He's up there.
He's built decks that have beaten the like 400 and something player on Arena and that kind of thing. And it's kind of funny that like if my dad committed to it, that he could technically possibly be like an esports level.
Look, if that's his passion, obviously, like, you know what? I don't like this sport.
I'm told to. It's just
you watch. You're gonna give him that little push that he needs someday.
Hopefully. I'll definitely try and drag him to the Tracon that happens.
That's like a board game convention or something, right?
No, it's like trading cards. It's all trading cards. So they had Magic there. Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
But that was So my dad's always been very nerdy and supported me. My mom hasn't like always fully understood the nerdy stuff, but she's always like thought it was cool. And like I sometimes hear about how she tells her work friends about like what I'm doing and that kind of thing.
There could be no higher praise, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I had because I used to go to conventions with my little brother when I first started.
Yeah.
As soon as I started doing cosplay, he was like, yeah, I'm not going to go to conventions anymore. I'm kind of done. And it was just like, I was like, oh, what does your brother do? He's like, he dresses up in costumes. I don't know him, kind of thing. But in a similar way, actually, because there was an anime which we watched as kids together. And then I cosplayed it maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And he commented saying, I think this is my favorite costume you've ever done. And I was like, oh, I'm so happy. So
that's very sweet.
It's funny how it kind of makes it full circle like that.
Yeah.
But now, what are your kind of goals at the moment now? Because I know we had a bit of a talk before. It's like, wow, shit, things are just moving. You know, I've had college thrive games. You know, I'm going to be a creator pass at Dreamhack. And, you know, you've got things under the radar, which are still also going. But,
yeah,
you know, you've obviously got things that you probably don't even intend to push forward, or, you know, opportunities just come your way, which is amazing. You know, you're attracting all these great opportunities just from you doing you, which is awesome. But do you yourself have any kind of, maybe it's personal, professional goals through cosplay that you're kind of aiming for?
I mean, I just love being, I get a lot of joy being present in the community and that kind of thing, and like encouraging more people to come and join the community and just working. I feel, I really enjoy just working together with other people to do cool stuff. Like that's, cause like personally, cosplay's always been about fun and learning new skills and like, oh, I played this game and I really like this character. I want to cosplay this character. Then people at a convention come up to me and go, well, I really love this character too. And then we talk about the character. It's just finding like-minded people. And I guess somewhat in a professional sense, like, because I've been doing more tabling and that kind of thing. Earlier in the year at KaigaCon with the wonderful, wonderful Grizzly Ghoul, we tabled together. And that went really, really well. Because I do a lot of 3D printing and that kind of thing. And I've discovered that I really like making horns and that kind of thing for tiefling characters. And it's been really fulfilling to help other people bring their characters to life through that, because it makes me so happy when, like, because I've got a couple custom sets that have gone out, that people have got them, and just seeing them wearing them and being like, this is amazing. I can cosplay my original character now. Like, it's just amazing. It makes me so, so happy. And yeah, because also having some way for, unfortunately, funds determine a lot of the content that I can create and that kind of thing. But because like if I look at myself independently, like as a business or something, then I've been running at a loss for however long, because have some way for stuff to flow back in.
Yeah.
And so I can do bigger and better things is really wonderful. And so far, that's been going really, really well. And I have a lot more plans to do that. Like, I have an online shop at the minute. I've been printing little dragons, which I have been filling the house with. They are everywhere, but luckily still at this point my family sees them as cute, so they don't fall into the category of clutter yet. So I can continue spreading them everywhere around the house. But yeah, it's just and guesting and that kind of thing at conventions has been a goal of mine for a while, because I feel like it's a really great way for me to be more involved in like the behind the scenes side of conventions. So actually work from behind the scenes to push it forward. And also gives me like a really direct outlet to interact with the community and like the resources to like show people how wonderful this is. Like,
I think that's something I really like about your ethos and just kind of your attitude towards it. It's not more about, oh, I want to do this so people notice me and then I can become a guest and get big and famous and then I can go traveling. It's not about that for you. It's just, hey, I do this because it's fun and I get to meet cool people and we can do more fun things together and then we can make more fun things and the fun just continues. And that, to me, just looks kind of like the core ethos of what cosplayers do, which is fantastic. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing, I talk to people and ask, like, what's your business plan in this way, shape or form, or how do you see yourself doing this? And some of them get really into, like, yeah, this is what we're going to do for the next, 6 months. That's our, like, business target. And that's fantastic. I think it's great that people, take it really seriously and they want to run it. So that's going to be their one and only thing. But for you, at the moment, it just seems it's like, wow, I get to do this cool thing, which makes me do this cool thing, and I get to join together with this cool person, and it's really cool to see that.
Because, for me, I don't want cosplay to feel like a job. Like, there are so many... Work is difficult. Having to make money is difficult and unfortunate, because, some of I've fingers crossed got a very cool opportunity at the minute, because I studied mechatronics engineering, and my dream is to go into animatronics and practical effects and that kind of thing. So it's once again like bringing things to life and that kind of thing. And creating this sense of magic in the real world through using robotics. And I also just like studying biomechanical systems, so like animals and that kind of thing, and then using bats and electronics and stuff to replicate it. Because, like, some of the opportunities that I'm looking at, I'm like, I wish I could do this for free. I'm like, this is the kind of stuff that I would love to do for free. However, unfortunately, I need to make money somehow. But, yeah, I don't know. But I also think that it's a very cool thing, like, looking for something that I would do for free and then trying to make... Because, like, I do intend on hopefully keeping cosplay and what's now turned into, like, a little... Like, a teeny, itty-bitty small business is, like, a side hustle thing. Because, like, if I sell stuff and get money, then I can make more
stuff.
I can make more stuff. No, I was chatting to my friend about it because I was talking about how, like, one of my 3D printers paid itself off, and she was like, and then you can buy another printer, and I'm like, yeah, and then that pays itself, and I'm like, well, now I've just got, like, if we continue down this track, then I'm just got, like, 20 3D printers. Why was I buying 3D printers again? Like, it's just, I feel like it just feeds back into itself because I love it all so much. So, yeah.
I think that's the best way to go about it. Honestly, it's you're doing something because you want to, and I really like the part that you said as well. Like, if I could do it for free, I would, and that in itself to me just like, wow, because that's the old that's the big question, right? You ask someone, if you didn't have to worry about money, what would you do? And you're like, I'm already doing it. It just so happens I still need some money to pay off for the 3D printers, right? So Now, that being said, you've kind of gone ahead and you're working with people, you're collaborating, you're doing some tabling here and there, you're running a growing business. We'll say it's a growing business. You also mentioned competition in there as well. Is that something that you kind of see yourself setting a new bar or a challenge for yourself, again, just for fun, or you kind of see yourself as taking that somewhere? What's your view on that?
I kind of needed to take. I could see that I was gonna start burning myself out with competitions because of just the mentality I get into that. Okay, this needs to be done now. This needs to be done now. This needs to be done in this specific way, and I have to document absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And I personally try to be very conscious of the point where I'm not enjoying it anymore.
Yeah.
And there was a point because my Vexalia cosplay was one that I was attempting to do at like a master's level build. I got to a point in that, and some personal stuff happened, and I wasn't able to finish it for the comp that I wanted to, and I just couldn't pick it back up. I managed to get it finished for the con that I wanted to.
I remember. Yes, looks great. Looks great.
And then, I was like, well, I'm happy with this. Like, what? Yeah, like I think if I continue competing, like if I'm doing a big build, it will just be that big build for the year, and I won't have a set due date. Yeah. And then if I want to compete with it, I will. Or just do mid-tier comps and that kind of thing, like things that are less things that I don't have to have a build book for, that I don't have to worry about documenting everything, and instead I can just ramble at a panel of people about all of the things that I did because. I like talking. I find it more difficult writing.
No, you definitely seem like that person, and I see it as a strength. Okay, it's not a bad thing. Yeah. But look, it's really cool. I think you realize that at such an early stage, because I know you've done a couple of competitions, but it took me years to kind of get to that point where I was making costumes and putting into build books and doing it to a certain degree, but. Yeah. At some stage, you either... I'm really glad that you said, I am very well aware that I am not having fun right now, so... Yeah. And part of me, for a long time, was just like, just push through it, get to the competition, and it'll be worth it. And, at the end of the day, it's up to you if you feel like it's worth it or not, but... Yeah. Because you probably felt as well, you're like, I want to make this costume for me, in my time, at my prerogative, not... to this deadline, to this person's, degree of how well it should be. And, when it really becomes a costume or a character that you love and you want to put your heart and soul into it, you don't want to feel pressured to, do it to this standard that someone else is going to like. You do it because you like it. And, I'm happy that you Vexalia hasn't been ruined for you.
Something.
Yeah.
No, she hasn't been ruined for me. Excellent. Because, for context, I've applied for the mid-tier Dreamhack comp with Vex. So if I get in, that's wonderful. If I don't, that's fine. But because it also does make me a little sad if I don't compete with her at all, because I spent so much time researching fabrics and doing certain seams and wrapping myself in duct tape to make sure everything was perfectly fitted. And I'm like, because I wouldn't have done that if, well, no, actually, that's a lie. I sometimes do that. I do it when I'm feeling like it. Yeah. It's nicer to be able to go, okay, I want to do this in a really overcomplicated way because I'm feeling like it, rather than. Yep. Yeah. I think just because something that really irks me is people with bad comp mentality. Yeah. And I don't want to, I don't want to give myself a reason to have a bad mentality around comps. Because so far, all the comps that I've competed in, I haven't won any awards in comps. I've competed a number of times. I've never won an award. But I love it. I absolutely love it because the people that I met, the people I get to talk to, just getting to prance on stage while someone talks about my costume. Amazing. Fantastic. I love it. I don't compete for an award. If I get an award, that's fantastic, but it doesn't, in the end, make that much of a difference to me. And it's a lot of the time it's for feedback as well. I love, because especially this year at Dreamhack, I'm a very, very big fan of Kinpatsu cosplay. They have made a lot of builds that I would have never attempted possible because of the resources that they share and that kind of thing. And I'm very, very excited that hopefully I should be able to meet them. And I don't know if they're judging the comp as well.
They will be.
They are? Because yeah, that's the thing. Like,
Ash, they're going to be watching you. They're going to be watching you.
Because like, if I could get feedback from them on one of my cosplay builds, that's amazing. Like, I could not ask for any more. Like, that's... Yeah, and just the opportunity to have my work looked at and talk about my work to someone like that is fantastic. Like, that's what I'm there for, personally.
Everyone listening, that is the mindset you want to have for cosplay. Honestly, I'm very happy and very proud of you to say that, because the majority of people I think who do go into competitions is, I'm one to win. I'm going to win a prize. If I don't, I feel like I've failed myself. If I don't win something, I feel like I'm a bad person. And you're going in with this mentality of like, I'm going in because it's fun to prance on stage and have people talk about me. Wahoo! And the best part is the feedback. Oh! I can't tell you how many people I've met who's like, no, I know what I did. I don't like that. Their feedback, But I think it's a bonus because it's someone that, you admire and you respect.
Yeah.
And, get the opportunity to have them talk about your costume is like you said, a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah.
So, you're going to get good real fast. You're going to get good real fast.
Dreamhack last year was the first comp that I did that had like serious prejudging.
Yeah, right.
And I was so nervous because I had gotten it in my cosplay. Nothing had fallen apart, thankfully, because I tried very hard to make sure I would. I got there and I got into the room with the panel of judges, and then I started talking. And then I was like, wait a minute. I just have a captive audience to ramble at about how I made this cool thing. And then they tell me about I'm like, this is great. Like, why was I nervous about this? Like, no, it's just, and there were some very, very wonderful and talented people that I looked up to on that panel of judges as well. And it was like, the feedback is fantastic, amazing. Like, it's such valuable information. Like, my first point of advice for anyone trying to improve at cosplay is talk to other cosplayers. Like, you're not annoying us. When someone asks me about how I do a thing, like, I do a little happy dance. I'm like, woohoo! Someone who I can ramble at. Like, ask them, because they've probably spent so many hours figuring out how to do this thing.
And they want to be asked. Ask me, please. Yeah,
they're like, sir, here is how you do it. It also makes me feel very clever when someone goes, oh, that's such a good idea. I'm like, thank you.
I thought of myself.
Thank you. I had an idea and it worked after many not working ideas, but I don't have to talk about that.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Ask cosplayers for, how did you do this? I love it. That looks amazing. Yeah. I would love to hear how you did it, because I want to make something like this and I've got no idea. Please teach me, senpai. Listen and learn. God, the funny thing is, maybe it's not funny anymore. Now it's funny. When I was a wee young lad and I didn't have much experience under my belt, and it was one of the first big competitions. I'm talking, you know, MadFest? Remember that the convention that you first went to? Remember the Madman National Competition? That existed for a while.
Yeah.
So when I was a Wii cosplay, before I started entering that myself, I was there for the very first one ever, back in '09 or something. And I asked one of the competitors who looked phenomenal, and I said, "This looks amazing. You know, how did you make something like this?" That was the one and only person I've ever talked to who did not tell me how they did it. They said, "It's a secret." And I was like, are you fucking joking? Like,
we do not gatekeep cosplay knowledge.
They gatekept. I think they were just like, yeah, I don't want anyone else like learning my secret, so they'll use it against me in the And you know what? Guess what? And I can make it a lot better now. Who's doing it now? So
I will never understand it.
I don't get it.
Why would you want to? Okay, for for people who go in like with a competitive mindset, like, don't you want to be competing against like everyone else's best as well?
Yeah.
Like, don't you want to show that you're the best at using the resources that you have?
Yeah.
Like, and that because like if you were, then you wouldn't worry about someone
using your techniques,
taking a technique better than you, like.
And you know what's going to happen? They're going to go home and be like, wow, I can learn to do this from someone else who's actually nice.
Yeah.
And you're going to look like, not very nice. So just don't gatekeep anything.
Just don't gatekeep.
Just share.
Because
be cool.
You never know when someone else will figure out something and you go, I cannot for the life of me figure out how they did this. And if you at some point say no to them, then like they're
gonna remember. They're gonna remember. I haven't forgotten. It's been years and I haven't forgotten. I haven't forgotten. Do I hold a grudge? No, it's fine. It's fine. I figured it out myself.
At least that's what you say.
I tell myself that. Helps me sleep at night. Now,
I don't know.
Has there been any, let's say, dream project that you feel like that's what I want to aim for at some stage? I want to do it, but I don't feel like I'm at that level yet. What's like the goal? I know we're talking about goals. We're talking about, you know, things that you're aiming for. So in terms of actual costumes, what's kind of like the goal at the moment?
All right. I'm gonna tell you a story about my favorite character.
Let's go. Wind the clock back. Let's do it.
All right. When I first started seeing the cosplay community, when I first created a cosplay account, like with my friends and that kind of thing. When that first happened, one of the cosplays that I saw and was like, wow, that is like, imagine if I could do that some way, was a cosplay of Molly Mock Tea Leaf from Critical Role. We were going to end up here.
Yep.
And I like the coat specifically. And I learned before I even really knew what like Critical Role was, how notorious Molly Mock Tea Leaf's coat was within the cosplay community. Like, there was like a like TikTok audio or something going around of like how no mentally stable person will look at Molly Mock Tea Leaf and go, I could cosplay that.
Is that the one where her coat is like a section of each enemy that she's defeated? She kind of sews onto her coat.
No. So it's like got symbols of all of the gods and that. It's all embroidery.
Right.
His coat. I mean, like, this is how much I love I have him tattooed on my arm.
Oh.
That's the point that.
It's a nice thing. I like it.
Which you can't see, but
I can see it. It looks good.
He can see it. Yeah, I really love this character. And like a couple years down the track, I got into Critical Role, and I was like a crippling people pleaser. I still am a little bit, but I've worked on it.
Good.
Like,
well done.
I would burn myself out for other people so often, and I would inherently like trust people and that kind of thing to make things easier for them, which was not healthy. And for those who do know a bit about Molly's character, he does a lot of like kind of things that appear self-serving and well kind of but also help people out in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of like a moment for me. Like maybe I can do things that are good for me, but also other people like as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's so he's become a very special character to me through that. So as for cosplay goals, it kind of became like a one-day project of maybe I'll have my skills at the level to make a Molly coat. I mean, I've cosplayed Molly Mock without the coat. But hopefully that coat is happening this year. I have because I made a like what was essentially my mock-up of the coat for Christmas or Comic Con, which I personally find hilarious because I answered 120-ish bells.
She's insane. She's insane. We all know it. Confirmed.
I made that. If you look at, I made that cart in a day because I literally sat down on the floor and dissociated for like 6 hours sewing bells, and it was simply because I was like, it will be so funny if I sew like 100 bells to a cart and I'm just obnoxiously jingly the whole day.
There was a goal. There was a goal in mind. There was a vision. There's a vision.
I had a vision, and that was that if I was 100 meters away from your location, if I was within 100 meters of you and you could not hear me, I had failed. But yeah, it was funny to me. I found it funny. I don't know. That's the other thing. I don't really care whether anyone else found it funny. I was just like, you know what? This is hilarious in my brain, and other people did find it funny.
That's the pinnacle of cosplay, everybody.
Yeah.
You listen to this. If you like it, that's all that matters. Who cares what anyone else thinks?
I'm just like, this is silly and fun, and yeah. But I have the fabric in my wardrobe. I have the patterns, and I'm gonna start embroidering soon for my Molly cart. So hopefully my dream build will be something real soon.
That's really cool.
Which is
look forward to it.
Really exciting.
Excited to see it. See what happens later this year. Let's talk about with your cosplay journey so far. Everything is kind of going fantastic because you're doing things which you enjoy. You're enjoying the journey. There's wonderful people you're meeting. There's wonderful projects you're getting involved in. There's opportunities coming your way. It's like, where is there anything that's bad about this hobby? But as everybody has experience, not everything's all going to be peaches and cream. There's always going to be, people that you encounter or experiences that you have, which aren't always the best. For yourself personally, what are some of those moments where, it's either been, this sucks, or like, why am I doing cosplay? Or just something that you've struggled with, which you feel like, oh wow, that's I'm actually sad about this. So, you kind of strike me as someone who, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but you're someone who, when there's a challenge, is like, no, stuff it. I'm going to face it and get through it, and move on to what actually works. But everyone has trouble in their life at some stage. But for yourself and cosplay, what's that relationship kind of been like? Have there been moments like that?
I mean, I think the primary thing that makes me sad about cosplaying is sometimes, like, this is gonna sound like it's really not good, but actually being like respected as a human person when I'm in cosplay and cosplaying as characters, because it sounds like such a basic thing, but there have been too many occasions where, like, I've had people that I do not know, like, just treat me as, like, I'm not a real person because I'm cosplaying a character, and I'm like, I really want to bring these characters to life in a community that appreciates it, but, like, still, there's a person behind this. Like, a recent example that made me really, really upset and, like, really, like, scared me was I cosplayed Hoshino from Hoshinoko for Animaga, and I was just wandering around the stalls, and there was someone who pulled a fake knife on me and stabbed me in the stomach with it. Yeah.
What the actual crap? My God.
And they thought that was funny.
Oh
and
my
I'm like,
God.
I'm
so sorry that's happened. I'm
like,
speechless. What the fuck?
Like, there's always gonna be, like, there are some things that I know that there's always gonna be, which is, like, for cosplays like Ari and Tubi and that kind of thing, which is hi there, like, looking straight down, like, hi there, I like your cosplay.
Eyes are up here,
like,
buddy. Oh my God,
I have titties. Thank you. That's a very keen observation from your, like, line of sight.
I can see the bald patch on your head. Yes, I can.
That's something I can personally I can deal with. I shouldn't have to deal with it. No one should have to deal with it. No one should have to feel like the reason that someone's talking to them is because of their physical appearance. Like, that's I don't think that that's fair. But like actually having someone think that it was okay to do something, which in all honesty scared the shit out of me. It was okay because I was cosplaying a character. Because yeah, it's just, and I'm just like, damn, like it's sometimes like in that situation I was like, well, if people are gonna treat me like this, why am I here?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like, is it worth?
That is so crapped up. Like, what the hell? I don't even know how to react to something like that, honestly.
I actually believe that I believe someone got it on video, because there was someone that I knew who was streaming, and caught it in the background of it, and I believe that they were later kicked out of the convention. So, like, things did, but it's, yeah, and I mean, the other thing is just creating a balance between, like, what you're doing in cosplay and what else you're doing in your life. Because as much as, like, I would love to be able to make a living off of cosplay, it's not something that I can reliably commit to at this point. So, because I'm still studying full-time and I'm working casual part-time, because those are things that I need to have something reliable. And sometimes there was some heavier emotional periods last year and that kind of thing, because I was really struggling with uni work and that kind of thing. For context, this semester I've actually changed to a different uni, which so far is much better. But having to dedicate so much of my time to something that I really wasn't enjoying, while having something that I had to continually push to the side that I was so passionate about, was just really distressing for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's so hard to keep a balance. I feel like I've figured that out a bit, at least for this year. I'm feeling a lot better about the balance of uni commitment and that kind of thing, and cosplay. And I've gotten some really, really wonderful opportunities and that kind of thing. And also, if you know me, then you'll know that I am part of Let's Roll for Dragons, which is, alright, sorry, I'm gonna do the plug. This is the time for the plug. I'm part of Let's Roll for Dragons, which is a really, really amazing D&D and other TTRPG stream. We have a campaign that runs Sunday 6 o'clock each week, and then we also do a bunch of really cool one-shots and that kind of thing. We do one-shots in Baldur's Gate with Baldur's Gate characters. I played Astarion a few times. I played Critical Role characters on there. It's really awesome, and I love it so much. We exhibited recently at the Game Expo, which was amazing, being able to talk to all of these people. And it's really wonderful. It's something that has given me a lot of opportunities and that kind of thing, and I feel like the way that our goals are lining up and that kind of thing, are really able to push each other forward, is really, really cool.
It's something really interesting that you bring up, because I definitely had a similar stage when I was studying in university. I got to about, I don't know, 4.5 year degree or something. I got to the third and a half or fourth year of my degree, and I'm like, why am I studying this business degree when I was literally putting 90% of my life into doing cosplay and competitions, which I was just so passionate about. And I'm really thankful that it's gotten to the stage now, because it wasn't really a thing for myself back when I was doing uni. But now, with for example, in Victoria, the state that you're in, the government has invested so much money into esports and gaming and that kind of industry, that there is definitely a lot more opportunity for people as creators, whether it be a cosplayer or a gamer or a streamer, whatever it is. It definitely becomes a lot more real when opportunities do start coming your way. And you're probably thinking the same thing. It's like, oh well, how much of this degree do I actually like when I'm having so much fun doing this other thing and things coming your way? But, you know, there's always the same thing. Part of your brain going like, oh, okay, but how long will this last? Do I need a stable career in the future to get this degree? And, you know, it's something I think we all have to struggle with. And, you know, I admire the fact that you have taken a step back for yourself to say, hey, look, I'm not enjoying this particular degree at this particular university. I need to change something about it. And you know, by the sounds of it, it sounds like you've kind of found a balance which is working for you. By the sounds of it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. So far, it's been going really well. It's so weird with uni stuff because I was at Monash and I've just switched to RMIT. Monash, I realized, is not very accessible for like the way that I personally function.
Right.
And is like not particularly supportive. It's very much, if you can't do this on your own, then you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
Whereas like, because I've found myself with a lot more free time with RMIT because I've been like over assigning the amount of time that I need to dedicate to things because I'm so used to Monash stuff. Because like I will get to a lab and instead of having to do it all on my own, like they will actually help me through it. And I'm like, oh, I dedicated the rest of the day to doing this. So
yeah, I've got free time.
I paint some stuff or something. So yeah. It's great. It's good. And yeah, but yeah, hopefully, I do hopefully have an exciting thing coming up, that should be able to build some really cool stuff for. I like building cool things. I like engineering and building cool things. I wish that I could incorporate like mechatronics and that kind of thing more into my cosplays. However, unfortunately, mechatronics parks are really expensive. So, what I need is someone to give me the resources and money to build cool, silly little things, and then I can build cool, silly little things.
Well, look, I reckon at some stage you're going to be able to say, I need to make this costume, and I've got this university project where I need to make something, so I'm just going to make this costume as part of my university set. You'll just, roll it into one. It'll all work out.
I mean, my high school systems engineering project was a set of animatronic wings, so like I'm already all over that. They're sitting in my garage actually.
Have you used it for a costume yet? Have you used it?
No.
Ash, what are you doing? What are you doing?
They're just sitting there in the garage. Because it was during COVID, so they never got finished. They're mostly finished. They worked.
The question is, do you feel like you actually will go back and finish them? Because I've had some costumes. That helmet up there in the back, you can see. I threw out pretty much everything else because that costume just gave me trauma at some stage. And
yeah, I
just threw it out. And life is better without it. I'm just going to say. Do you feel the same way about those wings? As much as I want to see these things.
Well, I think, honestly, all right, this is my prediction of what will happen. Mm-hmm. I will find a cosplay that I look at that has wings, and I'm like, that's so cool. I really want to make that. And I'll go, I have a set of animatronic wings in the garage, and then I'll take them out, and because I made them a few years ago, I will look at them and I will go, what were you thinking? And then I will remake the entire thing.
Yeah, okay. It'll give you the motivation to put it away forever, permanently. Yeah. Right. I see.
I will disassemble it, and then I will make them better. That's probably what I reckon will happen.
Recycling the parts, I like that. You're being very environmentally conscious.
It's got a like a set of really nice linear actuators on it that were bought out of the school's money. So
just use it.
Yeah, I'm like, I have these cool things that I need to use for something, but the opportunity there will. In cosplay, I've kind of brought myself into the mindset that things tend to happen for a reason.
Yep.
And there's things like, actually, that kind of ties into the point of comps really well.
Yeah.
Because the first comp I applied for with my Star Guardian Zaya cosplay was the Game Expo last year, and I didn't get in. And that was... I was a little disheartened by that, because I was like, damn, I've worked really, really hard on this. And to be fair, there were very, very few applications let through, and it could have even been on, like, completion level or something. That's very possible. But then I was like, well, what's the harm of applying for Dreamhack? And then I got in for it, which honestly, if I was presented those two conventions and just like personally, which I would rather compete at, I would have chosen Dreamhack. So things sometimes happen for a reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like,
it's a good mentality to keep because, like, right now there are opportunities. There are opportunities which are coming your way, and it's just a fact. We're not going to get every opportunity that comes our way, as nice as it would be.
You will. There are so many things that I have applied for again and again and again, and I still haven't gotten into. Those things, like, sometimes it starts to change, but you will get like rejected 10 times as much as you get accepted.
Yeah.
That is just the way of things, but you also miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Like,
this is a mindset I really want you to elaborate on a little bit, because to me, and I'm really glad that we met, honestly, because you are definitely someone who just has this positive outlook and aspiration towards everything that you do. And, you know, even if something sucks, you'd be like, you kind of see it as like, okay, cool, I'm just going to use that as fuel to kind of push myself for the next thing. Because it's a very common thing, and I know it because I've been there, and even the people that I coach still in social skills stuff that I do today, is people are very scared of rejection, a very big thing. And whether that be applying for a job, in the case that I meet people, they're scared of being rejected by the person that they walked up to and say hello to. They're going to tell them to fob off or be ignored, have nothing to say, etc., etc. But in this case, where you said, look, I have applied for so many different things, I have been rejected tens and dozens of times, but for you, what's the way that you kind of think about something when you don't get accepted into something? In this case, you do get rejected from something. How do you kind of put a spin on that and see that as, you know, moving past that and using that as fuel to move forward? What's your mindset on that?
Well, to be perfectly, like, there are some things that, like, when things that I've tried really hard for and then get rejected by, like, it is upsetting.
Yeah.
I will get emotional and I will have a cry about it. Like, it's not that it doesn't hurt when rejection happens and it's not disappointing. Yeah. Like, I'm not some kind of, like, miracle person who's able to,
You're human, just like the rest of us.
Every time. Yeah. But it's just, like, I don't know, my brain is trying to figure out how to put this into words.
You got this.
It's like, am I gonna take no as the final answer for this? That is kind of, which sounds like a really, like, shovey way to put it, but, like, am I gonna stop working towards this because someone? And I feel like you just need that first person to say yes. I think that it really, really is just that first time, that after applying again and again and again and again, the first time that they say yes, and it pays off, and you're like, oh, it was worth it. like, because thinking back to, like, when, and I think that getting slowly into it as well is, like, really important, because the first con that I ever competed at was the last Animaga, before it stopped running for a bit, and then it came back, but that's besides the point. And it was a tiny competition, and they ran a competition on each of the days. So it was a really little competition, and they let everybody in. So that was great. And then I was like, cool, I did this competition thing. Like, it was cool getting feedback from the judges, because this was the first cosplay that I'd ever made entirely by myself, and that was Kokichi Uma from Danganronpa. Oh, back in the scary Danganronpa days.
Hey, those days haven't ended. They're still going. They're still going.
God, when will I ever whip out a Danganronpa cosplay again? That's a question.
Yes, she will. Everybody, she's gonna do it.
Maybe we'll see. But yeah, that was the first time I was passionate enough about a character to make it from scratch. And then I, like, gradually moved on to, like, the Oz Comic Con competitions and that kind of thing. and just like not really going in with any expectations, and just like, because it doesn't take that long to fill out a form. Like it doesn't take that long, and sometimes it depends on the con, but sometimes, especially for those with like logbooks and photos and that kind of thing, you can actually ask
for feedback.
You can ask either the judges on the day or when you get the email back. You can ask for feedback on it, and that's actually a really important point with the Game Expo competition that I didn't get into and I was disappointed about. On that day, like, I was disappointed when I first heard that I didn't get into it because I was really, really hoping that I would, because I'd worked very hard.
Mm-hmm.
But on the day, like, I'd obviously gotten over that because I got to see all these amazing costumes and that kind of thing. And afterwards, I went and chatted to the judges, and I was like, hey, I applied, I didn't get in. Do you remember my logbook? Could you give me advice? And they gave me, like, a bunch of really wonderful advice, so I was able to overhaul my book for Dreamhack. Like, it's okay to have feelings and be disappointed about something, but, like, try and find a silver lining somewhere. Like, try and just the best you can figure out.
Try and learn from it.
Yeah.
That's what Ash is trying to say. Well done.
How you can get a yes next time, really. That's
nice.
Or like go a different path. Like there's
no one right answer. There's no one right answer. Yeah.
There's no right answer.
But no, I really like what you said there, in which is like, I've got to figure out a good way to say this. But I really like in what you said, you pulled out two bangers. I wrote them down. They were that good. You said, I can apply this, but if I get a no, am I literally going to just accept that as the very last answer that I get? And it's like you said, I can just apply and apply and apply and apply. It could be no, 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 no. But the first time you get a yes, it's like no, 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 yes, no, no. Wait, there was a yes? And it really just takes that one time for, the ball literally to get rolling. And that could be, anything. It could be applying for a competition. It could be applying, to be a guest somewhere, to be a panelist, to try be a judge somewhere. There's obviously, we're going to try level up in whatever stage you want to be, but there's always going to be something that you can learn, no matter how good you get at something. There's always something to learn. So,
yeah, like an example for that is, for me, something that I've still been gone no to is Cosplay Spotlight. I was Comic-Con Cosplay Spotlights. I've applied, like, pretty much ever since it started up, and every single time I've gotten a no. I'll apply again this year. I'll see if it's a yes.
See how you go.
If it's not,
I'm predicting it's a matter of time for you. It's a matter of time. They can't ignore you forever. You're going to be so powerful. They can't ignore you.
I'm going to annoy them into letting me in. They're just like...
Put it this way. You're going to get so good that they won't be able to ignore you. That's what it's going to be.
Hopefully, that is the goal.
Hey, look, with the way you're going, I can't help but notice. I'm like, wow, the dragonash cosplay. Will you please come and join this podcast for me? And she said yes. She said yes. Now, believe it or not, did you know an hour has gone by and that's the end of the podcast? Like, we've made it to the end. How did you feel was it your first podcast experience? How did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoy chatting to you. We've rambled at each other for hours.
It's happened before.
It's happened before.
So, look, thank you very much for joining me on this podcast. For anyone listening, I hope you have learnt a little bit from what goes through Ash's mind. It's very deep and complex, but she shows us, the best part of it all the time. But no, Ash, this is like a little plug. This is the plug bit. For anyone who wants to follow along with your works and learn more about what you do, where can we find you?
Yeah, so I'm primarily active on Instagram on dragonash.cos. You can see all of my cosplay work and that kind of thing on there. I've also recently started up like a business that I mentioned before. I make cosplay horns and other 3D printed cosplay accessories, painting things, that kind of thing. I have these really cute dragons that I make if you want to support me and help me make cool things. I'm a part of Let's Roll for Dragons, which we're doing some really cool stuff. We have a lot of really, really, really cool announcements coming up. that I am not allowed to say yet.
Follow the Let's Roll for Dragons page, you'll see it. Or follow Ash.
Otherwise, yeah. Yeah. It's like we have had to silence Ash because she's telling secrets. No. But yeah, that's pretty much, and I'm just around most Melbourne cons. I love talking to people. If you come and say hi, I'm gonna be at Dreamhack. I'm gonna be a creator at Dreamhack. I'm probably going to be wearing an Ari cosplay of some kind of day.
She looks really good in Ari. Go and say hi to her. Do it.
If you see a silly little fox running around, that's probably me. I'll be cosplaying Astarion as well, which is a fan favorite. But no, thank you so much for having me. I really, really enjoyed this.
It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for having a little chat with me. But yeah, so thank you very much to Ash. Follow her stuff. I'm going to link it all in the description below. As usual, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast, leave us a comment on Instagram about how much you love Ash and how wonderful it was to listen to this episode. As usual, I've actually got some special announcements coming up myself. It won't be in this episode, but it will probably start from the next one, so keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, as usual, leave us comments, give us suggestions, shower Ash with praise, and thanks very much for listening this far. I will also be a Dreamhack too, so I'll catch you there if you're there. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week. Yeah, Ash, say bye. Bye!
Bye!